Okay then, so what do we have here? Package has definitely come from China. Let's open it up and find out. Wow, that's one rubbish box. Plain, apart from a couple of Chinese labels. What do we have here? That's quite thin metal. That's the discard, but it'll do the job. Handle, quite hard plastic. The obligatory disc key spanner. That box can go, let's get rid of that. Thin bubble wrap. What do we have here? There we go. An angle grinder with a brand name. Never heard of that. Takes your Makita type batteries. Feels right in the hand though. The end's nice bit of, what's that, cast aluminium maybe. There's the M14 spindle. Switch looks a bit stiff, maybe it's like a deadlock operation on that. Again, another sticky label, that'll come off in due course. Right, let's see whether it works properly or not. It clicked in alright, tiny bit of wobble. It works. There we go, we've got a power indicator there. I think you can press this little button for different power settings. Oh yeah, power 1, 2 and 3. The RPM change depending on what setting you have it on. Yeah, well, so £30 off of eBay. So far, seems alright. Let's give it a try. Okay, so with that bit of angle grinding I just did, you can see the power meter still showing a fully charged battery. Alright, so as you saw earlier in the video, I gave you a bit of a review of this 18 volt powered angle grinder. Give you a close up of it, and I think I've done a little bit of cutting some steel rod in the vise back there, and it worked perfectly well. I've subsequently put it into a bit of real world use, and lo and behold, much like the impact driver, the thing has packed up. It was working, and then the motor just cut out, no spinning. The on-off toggle switch here has always been a little bit stiff. Part of me is thinking that maybe the plastic switch there, the physical switch, has become detached from the physical, the actual component switch inside the device. So it just gives me the perfect opportunity to get the tools out and take it to pieces. Have a look inside. We can see what the quality of it's like inside. We can see whether it's saying it's fixable. And yet again, we can ask the question, are these cheap Chinese tools actually worth it? So let's get the tools, let's take it apart, let's find out. Okay, so like the impact driver, once again, there's a multitude of Torx headed screws around the body here. Previously I took a Torx head bit and ground it down on the grindstone to get into these deeper recesses. Lo and behold, that tool bit is not the right size, so I've had to prepare another one. Same process, put it in a drill against the grindstone, get it sized down, it reaches in there and that undoes the screws. So I shall get them undone. Let's take the battery off, get that out of the way. Let's get that handle off, don't need that there. I guess we can get rid of, do we need to get rid of those bits? Let's have a look. I'll tell you what we'll do, we're gonna, yeah, let's take off this aluminium end section. That should just pull off, I imagine. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 Phillips headed screws there. I just need to take off the guard. I'll be able to spin the guard to get to that one. So here we go. Let's have a go. Here comes one. I'm assuming this will just come straight off. I'm hoping so anyway. Quite long, that one. Okay, and as I suspected, the whole head unit comes off, and then you have a spiral cut pinion gear there that's attached to the main body. So it looks very much like, if you wanted to, you could reposition this back on in any position that suited your application. There doesn't appear to be any specific reason why it has to go that way as opposed to that way or that way, etc. So depending on whether you're predominantly left or right-handed and where you're looking to cut and grind, you can spin that around to your heart's content. As I rotate I think that's an M14 spindle there, as you rotate that, in there you can see a spiral cut pinion gear rotate. Actually moves really nicely, feels like there's some pretty decent bearings in there. So that's that bit done, let's move that out of the way. Now let's get to grips with dismantling this part. Unlike the impact driver, there is a sticker, branded sticker here no less, and here. Not sure whether they can seal any screw holes, I don't think they will, but anyway, let's get on to this. Come apart. There go. Yeah. So what do we have here? We have what I was led to believe was a brushless motor, and yes, it is brushless. So there's the motor there, just a direct drive straight to that point. We have the Makita style battery connection point there. Yet again, only the live and positive connections. There's no extra connections for like smart battery monitoring. So the power cables come straight into this sealed PCB unit. Cables come out of there. Unlike on the Makita, unlike on the impact driver, the switch is hardwired into this board. There is no plug and play with this one. That's just a hard wiring. So that's a little bit different. Here's the switch operated by this mechanism here. So how does this work? Right, if we take that bit off, the switch is just a straight push on and off. So if we connect the battery and see whether that works. So we connect the battery there and let's push that. Yep, it works. Let's see if we can hold that down in place properly. See, that's working. That is working perfectly fine. So my fault was with this physical connection to that switch. Now I'm going to have a little look and see whether I can make that fit in any better. But what it strikes me as, in use, somehow or another, this mechanism here got itself into a bit of a tizwas. Now yet again you ask yourself the question, is it because it's a poor design? Just like the impact driver, that with a bit of use something vibrated free, because that's seemingly okay for the time being. But the good news for me is that the motor works, the switch works, and the PCB works. And it does appear just to be a matter of this. So I'll have a little look and then I'll come back to you on it. Okay guys, right, so this is the main switch. There's a plunger in that switch. It's quite firmly sprung. So I shall activate it from this end and you can see what happens with the actual external switch here. So as I push here forwards, this whole mechanism moves forward and there is a degree of tilt on this. Now this is to operate like the deadlock switch. So in real world, what really needs to happen is you press down on the back of this switch. There's a little tab there that as you push down here clears a little bar on the moulding of the device, which should enable you to push the switch forward and then push the toggle down at this point and it should lock on. But in practice that doesn't always catch on, and the strength of the sprung plunger on the switch pulls it back and switches the device off. At the moment I can't see any particular way of making it function any better. I think it works better when both halves of the shells are close together, because here you can see there are mouldings inside here of which there is half on the right half and half on the left half, and they need to be together to work fully. There doesn't seem to be anywhere particularly obvious in here to grease this to enable it to function any smoother. And with the very nature of angle grinders, they get a lot of dust and debris inside them, and the grease will just act as will just attract that grit and dust, and it will soon turn into a bit of a abrasive paste, so I don't really want to do that. But the main thing is this device still actually works. There's nothing wrong with it from an electronics point of view. It's just this physical mechanical switch. So I'm going to put it back together and just see whether it just needed putting back together in a better way, and to see whether it proves to be any more reliable. So we'll do that. So here you go. You have to push down on the back of this switch, thrust it forward, and push it down there, and it locks on. This is on power setting 1, power setting 2, power setting 3. Okay, so there we have it again. Yet again, once you open it up, from a motor, battery, internal switch point of view, there was nothing wrong with it at all. It's this switch here seems to be a bit temperamental. Now, whether it just wasn't put together very well in the factory and it got dislodged and it needed putting back together, or whether it gets dislodged when you're using it, time will tell. Fundamentally, it all works. That's a little bit ropey. You do have to push down, push forward, and lock it on. I'm getting the feeling that that will work properly now for some time. If it stops working again, I'll know what the culprit is. As with the angle grinder, if you was using it all day, every day, you couldn't tolerate the uncertainty of whether that's going to work 100% all the time. You can't be taking it to pieces all the time if you're using it day in, day out. So, for me, again, like my other tools, I only use them occasionally. I can live with this. As a bare body tool, this was £30. I can live with that. For anyone using this professionally, don't bother, spend your money on a brand. So I hope that's given you some insight. Once again, thank you very much. Please subscribe and also turn on notifications, and then you get to hear when I put out a new video, and check out some of my other stuff I've done as well. Thanks a lot.